Hello, everybody. Mike from Southern California here. It's Friday, March the 6th, 2020, and you're on the mic. So I was looking, I was looking at a now. Let me preface what I'm about to say here by saying this. I normally don't bring up a whole lot of political stuff on my channel, only because I know that I kind of have an idea of what a lot of people's political ideologies are to begin with, and it's not exactly something where I really want to bring up on this. Granted, I do follow politics to some extent, but it's not the main crust of what I usually will focus just specifically on niche content like anime, manga, pro wrestling, cartoons, that kind of thing. But oftentimes, when you look at the human condition and we're looking at people as a whole, we know that there are a number of times when various factors cross paths with each other. You know, what we value oftentimes is reflected in many of the things how we interact with each other and how we perceive the world. Some of these include, our political ideologies, our value systems, you know, how we perceive culture, how we perceive each other, you know, and, you know, as I look over and I think about some of the stuff that's been happening, in the when you look at like Comics Gate, Gamer Gate, Anime Gate, we look at the culture. You look just overall, just look at the culture wars overall. Seeing the culture wars have infiltrated and affected um, our our escapism. We've seen how our how how the culture wars have affected how we interact and perceive each other. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I mean, even in the political discourse, you know, we just had, you know, for some of you, if you follow the new any news at all, I don't know if any of you heard about this, but um, the minority leader, the Senate minority leader, Senator Chuck Schumer of New York, a couple days ago, came out with a statement in which he pretty clearly sounded like he was threatening two of the justices, the two most recent Trump Trump appointed judges. You know, to the point now where, of course, the Republican-controlled Senate is looking to possibly censure him. For his conduct and for his comments. Leaders are supposed to be above this kind of behavior, yet Senator Schumer decided he was going to lead this mob, which is going to lead to the title of this video or subtitle of this video, um, mob mentality, societal infiltration. Okay. Um, in essence, on some abortion cases, they're deciding he basically made the threat that if things didn't go his way or his and his party's way, that they were going to do something possibly violent about it. He said, "You will pay," and we've seen this mentality through. We've seen, for those of us who've been following, you know, Vic Mignogna in his case, we've seen this. We've seen the expanse of this, in anime, in comics, in gaming, cancel culture is another form of that mob mentality, you know, and a lot of the methodology goes back um, to a book called rules for radicals. You know, if you can't get your way legally, then what you got to do is you got to just totally defame, as Jamie put it, name and shame, right? Marky said it, name and shame. You know, defame the other person, call them names, shout them down. You can't get what you want legally or appropriately or within the rules, so you try to force it. That's what radicalization is. Trying to force a change, and all that really does is it gets people hurt on both sides. Because one side tries to force something, the other side's going to stand up and say, no, we're not going to take it. One side will start with the insult, the other side will start with the insults, and then start getting physical. Punches are thrown, kicks are thrown. Then it at times elevates to um to weaponry. Shots start getting fired, knives get pulled out, things just continue to degenerate until all you see is a bunch of broken and bloody bodies all over the place. This whole idea of you have organizations like Black Lives Matter and Antifa using militant tactics to get their way. You know, it's a problem. It's not how we should conduct ourselves in a civil society. You should be able to, in a very intelligent, very clear and intelligent way, make your argument. And if you can't get through to people, and things don't change the way you want, you just have to live with it. It's this idea of trying to force change. All it's going to do is get people hurt. This mob mentality, I say this us versus them. All it breeds is pain, civil unrest, pain, neighbor against neighbor. Sound familiar, you history buffs? All mob mentality does is it just simply leaves a bunch of battered, broken, and bloodied bodies in its wake. That's all it does. I happened upon a video the other day. Um, again, another consequence of mob mentality here. There's this YouTuber named Mike Nificent, right? Who was talking about now out here in Southern California in the LA area. Of course, we just had our primary election, and I guess recently, some individuals from Black Lives Matter decided to show up at a judge's house. Somebody who's running for a district court judge, Jackie Lacey. One of the leaders of that Black Lives group decided, she came to Jackie Lacey's door, saying she wanted Jackie Lacey to come out and talk to them about a particular. I don't remember what the case was, but I guess a particular case they were not too happy with her. Now, considering how some of these groups like Black Lives Matter not necessarily saying that this specific group has done anything, but considering how some of their ranks, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, how they've acted and behaved before, you know, Jackie's husband David took it upon himself to point a gun at this woman and told her to get off his property. Now he was defending her. Now ultimately she ended up going out and making a public apology for him on his behalf, but personally I don't believe they should have apologized. As a large group of people, they came to this person's house claiming to want to talk peacefully, but the way they were acting more like a mob. They were acting more like a mob, looking to intimidate her. And her husband acted rightfully and accordingly. He was defending his wife, and there is no reason whatsoever he should have had to apologize for that. None whatsoever. Him or her. But yet, these groups like Black Lives Matter, they do the wrong, and then they cry foul when they don't get the response they want, and then try to turn it around like they're the victim, and that's wrong. They act like a mob. They act like the mafia, and then when they get called out on it, or when somebody puts stands up to them, all of a sudden they're the ones who are the victims. Now I know the lady from Black Lives Matter would probably say, "Well, we weren't really going to do it. We just wanted to talk to her." Yeah, you wanted her to come out to a crowd that was hostile to her to talk. If you think anybody is going to believe that malarkey, I've got some swampland in Florida I'd like to sell you. Uh, that's the thing, people act, they try to intimidate through violence. They try to intimidate by, ganging up. They hurl insults. Don't really do anything real constructive. This this basically applies to, whether it applies to politics or niche culture things like anime or gaming or comics. This kind of mob mentality can't, whatever form it takes, mob mentality, mafia tactics, cancel culture, defamation, whatever form it takes. All it does is destroy. All it does is destroy. As a society, we have to stand up to these people. We have to send a clear and present message that this behavior is not acceptable. And yes, that may mean you have to do just like David Lacey did. You may have to pull a gun on him to get the point across. You you come to my home. You look to hurt me or my family. I'm gonna I may burn in hell, but I'm gonna defend my family. If that means I've got to take you out to do it, Now I'm not meaning this me specifically. I'm meaning this as a society in general. People do have a right to defend themselves. Okay? If you are going to behave that way, you have to accept the rewards and consequences of that decision, which could very well mean you end up on the losing end of that battle. So, for those of you who are partaking in that mob mentality, you should think about that before you try like what that group did or what Antifa tries to do. Okay? So that's pretty much all I'm going to say on that. Let me see. So on to some happier stuff. Now that we got through all that serious stuff, let's look at some happier things. Okay, today is of course March 6th, 2020, so let's see what happened on this date in history in niche history. So first off, we go all the way back to 1970s. On this date in 1977, the Japanese mecha anime Planetary Robot Vanguard Ace debuted on this day, produced by Toei Animation. Um, Planetary Robot Vanguard Ace debuted on this date in 1977. And on this date in 1980, the 95th issue of Porky Pig, published by Gold Key Publications, or Gold Key Publishing, went on newsstands on this date in 1980. Porky Pig number 95 went on the newsstands on this date in 1980. Now, with that being said, um, you check the link below if you want to contact me directly. Um, you want to contact me directly. Um, if you want to contact me directly, you can direct message me on Discord. My Discord is down there. You can check out my Discord and join if you'd like. Um, if you if you also, I'm still promoting a bunch of different dub companies because, as we all know, Funimation is not the only game in town. There's other dub companies you guys can check out. Um, I'm also still promoting the GoFundMe's. As always, guys, never feel like you have to donate. If you have the means to, it's on your heart to do so, please consider donating. If you have already donated, please consider donating again. And if you cannot donate, you can still help out the cause by sharing the link. After all, sharing is caring, and sharing is caring. And you never know, maybe somebody in your circle of friends will want to help out too. Doesn't hurt to ask. And if you like this content, please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. I would, I will generally get back to you as soon as I can. And with that, guys, I hope to see you at tonight's BA premiere. If not, then I will see you on Monday. Bye.